Well, maybe isn't left-handedness sinister, double and whatnot. Maybe that's why.
Back in the day.
But the facts are most left-handed people tend to be a little brighter than the rest of us, so.
They don't live as long either, though.
There's a lot of doctors that write left-handed, that's why you can't read their
That's the reason I didn't go to med school. My handwriting is legible.
Been there forever.
Actually go to a class to teach them how, them and pharmacists, to teach them to write so that it's unique to them their own. It makes it difficult to forge.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, my brother's is like that. The only thing you can make out of his name is the first initial of his name is Noel N, and the rest of it's like, really? You know?
What's that?
Just keep it like a
He's
waste.
really in the finance business, financial.
And
If you do a lot of
can't be that
signing,
way.
I guess you could make it
Gotta-
different, just scribble
you
your
gotta
last
grow
instead of.
I'm
get
sure.
eaten up.
The handwriting experts will tell you they can still make it happen. You know, I mean, it's a pseudoscience anyhow.
Well, it's kind of spooky when you've had it done, they can pretty well describe your personality. It's,
Well, there was some of that, too.
yeah, it's like, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. This is the time set for the Planning Commission meeting of May 8th, 2018 at 6 p.m. We will begin this session with a pledge to the allegiance. Commissioner Spar will lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Item number 1. Do any of the commissioners have any conflicts to declare?
I did coach the Terry's son in basketball, but as far as business relationships, I have no business relationships or conflicts, but I do just want to make that known that I have worked with him in that capacity.
Okay. Anyone else? There being none, we'll move to approval of the March 13th, 2018 regular meeting minutes. I ask for a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes for March 13th.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Passed. Okay. Item number 3. This is a request to consider to amend the zoning map from R18, a single-family residential, to R16, single-family residential, for the property located at approximately 5154 South, 2700 West. Is the applicant present?
Yes.
Would you please come up, state your name and your address, and tell us what you want us to know?
Let me pass around the flyer.
You may.
first,
Oh,
Give you an idea.
and then I can share one.
Okay.
My name is Doug Terry, and I own the property at 5154 South, 2700 West. There's approximately 3 acres there. I own a home and a little farm, and then 2 acres to the south of there. Almost everything to the west of me was storage units currently, probably 80% of the property there. There's a picture of it here. You can see all the storage units. To the southwest of me are fourplexes. To the northwest are businesses. And I own the property exactly to the north of the property. I'd like to rezone it from an R18 to an R16. I've tried to do townhomes in the past, but the neighbors are against that. Some of them suggested I do townhomes. So that is the direction I'm headed now, is to be in harmony with my neighbors, build townhomes. or to build patio homes, excuse me. I will have an HOA there, so it'll be upkept and very nice. Do you have any questions for me?
How many units will you be able to get in that?
Roughly maybe 12,
Okay.
where right now I could probably build 8 regular homes. But I'm looking to cater to the elderly population that don't want to have a big lawn. They want to have a small lawn, nice garage,
And no stairs.
and no stairs. Exactly, and that's what these are. Yeah. There's quite a need for them right now in Roy and throughout northern Utah.
I'm sorry, how many did you say you could build?
Approximately 12.
About 12.
Currently, I could probably put in 8 homes if I was R18. I've had it drawn that way to put in a cul-de-sac, and I could get 8 homes in there that way. So I'd be adding 4 additional homes roughly.
Anything else you want us to know?
Not at this time, no.
Okay. Mr. Parkinson?
As mentioned, this property we've discussed a few times before. Most of that was to go to R3 multifamily. This is a change to R16. In past times, you've had also a general plan amendment for that. But in our general plan, it lists R16 as medium density single family, which is the same as an R18. So there was no need to amend the general plan because it listed it as a medium density housing. Excuse me. So this time you're just having a zoning request. As mentioned, this general plan wise, it meets the request. That's why we're able to do the rezone request. As you can see with the zoning map here, you've got a melange of multiple different zones already there. The purple is light manufacturing. Yes, there are residents within that light manufacturing. They're just non-conforming. They've been there for a long time, and the zoning just changed since. You got single-family homes to the north, to the south, and to the east. You do have some multifamily to the southwest, as mentioned. And again, the dark green is just single-family homes as well. Patio homes is just a type of home. Again, just no basement, single story. It doesn't preclude it from having a basement if they wanted to build that, but I don't know what the water table is, so you never know how deep it's going to be. But again, it's just a style and type of home. 95% of the time, they have nothing but the main level. So it's easier for elderly and easier for those that are handicapped of any sort. So staff would recommend approval of the R16 from the R18.
Okay. Go ahead and sit down.
Thank you. Also to the east is nothing but railroad tracks.
Well, I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting for a public hearing.
Move that we, move that we open the meeting to public hearing.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're now in public meeting. If any of you have anything that you want to tell us about this application, please come up to the podium, state your name, and also your address.
My name is David Tracy, and my address is 5135 South and 5125 South, 2700 West. I own a house and a warehouse across the street from Doug's. And at the last meeting, you know, we were talking about, I guess, a higher density than we are now. Is that correct? Now, we would be like, what, a total of 12 units?
Yeah.
Yes,
And I
around
think
11 or
before
12
it was
units.
just about
Yeah. And I
twice
think
that.
last time he was here, he had condos, and there were like 24, something of that
Yeah.
nature, 22 maybe.
Okay, well, and I can appreciate that Doug has to be able to do something with his property. The only thing that I would like to ask is a couple of things, just general information. The old house that's there now, you know, would that?
Yeah, you have
still
to,
be
you have to
there?
talk,
Sir?
sir,
That would be
Sir?
gone.
Sir, please.
you
you're
have
here
to talk into the microphone.
Oh,
So
well,
we're
I was asking
recording
Doug.
this. He can hear you
Okay.
over
But
the
he's-
mic system.
But you're actually
I'm not
here
too
to,
used to this.
sir, you're actually here to talk to them.
Talk to us.
Not to the audience.
Well, it was a question, you know.
Okay, go ahead and ask your
I think I
question.
should be able to ask a question at a city meeting. Would that
You-
be all right with you?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and ask
If I
your question.
asked a question?
But in
Yes.
this particular meeting, you're here to address
Well,
the
in this particular
commission.
meeting, I am involved because I live
Okay.
across the street, okay?
Yes, sir. It's
So answer a
okay.
couple of questions for me, okay?
Please go ahead and ask them.
The first question is the old house going to be there that's there now, or will it be torn down and replaced by new houses?
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes or no?
No.
Okay, that's the reason I asked Doug. It will still be
Okay,
there.
we have a formal process we
Yeah,
have to do.
but
I will
that-
take your questions down after the public meeting is closed. Mr. Terry, you have another chance to talk to us, and I will direct those questions directly to him, and you can hear his answer at that time.
Well, then how do I find out?
He'll tell us.
Oh,
Okay.
right now, before the meeting ends, right?
It'll be before the meeting ends.
Okay. Okay, the other thing is that I have a complaint about the people that are in the house now, the old house now. Because they chop up cars, they're very noisy, and I don't know why people are hauling cars in there and cutting them up and then hauling them out. It's like a scrapyard, and it shouldn't be a scrapyard, because I don't think they're licensed to be an automotive wrecker. So if we're gonna have more problems like that, I would be totally against it. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely.
That property is being used for a purpose that it shouldn't be used for. And if it's going to continue to be used for other purposes that it shouldn't be used for, with new structures, I would be totally against it.
Okay.
It's like I said, Doug should be able to do something with his property to improve it or whatever. But maybe what we should do is look at what it is now, and that's the purpose that it's been for years and years. And maybe for just a few more units, it really isn't worth the change of the zoning. Just leave it the way it is. He can still develop it with the bigger homes and the bigger lots. And I think everybody in the neighborhood would be happier that way.
Okay.
I apologize if I got mad, but, you know, it does matter to me. I've lived there for about 50 years. I'm interested in the neighborhood. I'm probably gonna be there until the day I die. So this is important to me. That's the reason I'm here.
Okay. You said you had a second question.
Well, the
The
second
scrapyard.
question was, what's
okay.
gonna be done about the chopping up of the cars?
Okay.
You know, are we gonna just continue to chop up cars there and haul them off, or what? Is anything gonna be done about running a chop shop there? That would be the general question.
Okay.
Does anybody care? Does anybody on the city council or in the planning commission care that there's a chop shop going on there? That would be a good question to answer too.
Okay. Does anybody else want to speak or ask us questions? Okay. Mr. Terry, you heard both of those questions.
I did. I'd love to respond to them. The Roy City Compliance Officer has been down there. There has been nothing illegal going on down there. These cars have been down there for 6 or 7 months. I rent it to a gal named Lori Washington. Her son has moved out. I've asked her to get rid of these cars. I didn't know her son was going to come and chop one up to haul it off. Maybe that's the only way he can. He don't have a trailer or a truck, so he puts it in a trailer and hauls it off. But our Roy City Compliance Officer has been down there. There's nothing illegal going on down there. There's not a chop shop going on there. There's been a few cars at the property for a few months, and I told the renter I want them out of there, and she's complying with me. So the future homes will all be under an HOA, and there'll be no problems.
Will this house be removed?
It will not. It's not part of the rezoning.
Okay.
Not at this time. I have no plans of removing it. It was built in 1905. It's been in my family since 1930.
Okay.
I care a lot about this property. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Wendy Patty Packer, and I live at 5149 South, 2700 West. I'm right across the street. And I think where he can build it at R18, I think we need to leave it at that. We're okay with patio homes. We're scared about the traffic anyway, but R18 would be just fine. But I don't want him to rezone it to R16. That's all I have to say.
I'm Mel Swartz. I live at 5085 South, 2700 West. And I think that zoning it to R16 is not as consistent as the R18 around it. However, I think that this is a wonderful compromise moving in the right direction by Mr. Terry. I do have some questions about when in terms of the number of units, is that per acre that was quoted? Or is that for the total parcel altogether? Okay. And right now, I feel like I don't have as much information as I would like, to be totally fair to Mr. Terry regarding this. I do think R16 is certainly better than the proposed future one. And I will say it's a knee-jerk reaction. I'd rather it was R18, but I'd like to hear more from Mr. Terry if he has times to maybe drop off flyers or something before I knee-jerk a reaction, because I would prefer to be fair and not just say, well, that's how it was, that's how it needs to be. So I have to say I'm ambivalent at this point. I want to keep the neighborhood consistent with the residences we have there, but I think that the patio homes idea definitely has merit, and I believe it's a difference between like a 6,000 square lot versus an 8,000 square lot. So I'm not sure how that changes the number.
It changes, according to his figures, it changes it about 2 or 3 houses.
Is that per acre or is that for the total parcel?
For everything.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll get you back on the record in a minute.
I'll go sit down now so he can hop up and answer my
Okay.
questions.
We have another lady behind you. We're going to listen to her, and then Mr. Terry can come up and answer all the questions.
After the public hearing. You don't do
Yeah, after the public hearing.
I'm Lois Biddle from 5171 South, 2700 West. I would like to see it stay the zoning it is right now rather than higher density for 2 reasons. One is the traffic. Sometimes it's terrific right now. And the other thing is the water. The more density we have above us, the more water will come down our driveway and possibly into our basement. We've had the basement flood once already from the road coming down. And the more land there is that soaks up that water, the less I'll have in my house. I thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants to speak at the public meeting? There being no one, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
I move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. There being none, meeting is closed. Ms. Terry, would you come up and address the last couple of questions so that everybody has the information?
Which questions you want addressed?
She was asking about how many houses really that you can put on there. And I made a comment from what you earlier saying, but
Okay.
let her hear it from you.
Roughly right now on the 2 acres, I've had it drawn before. Actually, I had it drawn by Roy City years ago. I could have put 8 homes on there. Now, I haven't drawn a plat map yet, but I could roughly do 10 to 12 on there, depending on where the roads goes on. There's also a Roy City water line that goes through my property, so I got to work around that.
So if I understand what you're saying, because the question was asked, how many homes per acre? Under current, you could do 4 per acre. under the proposed, you probably could do 5 or 6.
Possibly, yes. I have not had a plat mat drawn yet, yes, but not a serious increase like before.
Okay. All righty.
Water drainage.
They were, yeah, you go ahead and ask the question, Jason, since,
No, the other question was about, that she asked about was the water with the seeping in, so the,
Yeah, that will not be a problem whatsoever. I'll have it totally engineered. If I have to put a holding pond in or whatever, I'll do that, but I'll have it engineered so it'll be safe. All the water should drain off into drains before it even leaves my property. Her property became a problem when the city went in and widened the road years ago and really put a drop-off down into her home. I've known Lowe's all my life, you know, so I know exactly what she's talking about. So no, I would not put any water going on in her property at all.
You've also got to remember that every subdivision that's created today has to contain the water that they have, either by a detention pond or underground system of some sort. So the water that comes down on this particular parcel will never go across the street to something else. Water that's coming southbound, south from somewhere else, that's a different story, but it wouldn't affect, this development wouldn't affect it. If it was 29 units or 4, they have the same requirements come about. So Public Works and Engineering are required to look at those type of things.
Correct, and also currently right now I have a hayfield in there where I'm pouring a fair amount of water in there, and I'm not putting any water on her property currently.
thank you for answering the question.
Thank you.
any other questions? Mr. Parkinson, do you have anything to add?
I mean, there's the usual traffic, but, it's hard to say how much traffic is really generated from the neighborhood there versus those that are coming from 48 to 56 or vice versa, or coming from the aquatic center. I mean, the unfortunate part is traffic is going to be an ever-ending, continuous thing. We can't just close the gates and say, you're not welcome to Roy unless you live here. It's always going to happen. Every subdivision that comes, that's new, that comes in, yes, creates more traffic, but every subdivision we live in now is additional traffic that wasn't there before. So it's always continuous. So unless we as a society are willing to get out of our cars and ride a bike and get on the bus, cars are going to be an issue from here until we have no gas.
When I first moved in this property, quite a few years ago, I'd have 5 cars a week go by my house. Times have changed. I agree.
Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay. And just so that I understand correctly and the people in the audience understand correctly, what we're doing tonight is that we're voting on the zoning change. He will have to come back with his site plan, his get building permits and go through all of that and meet all the requirements the city has, including sewer, water, drainage, and all of those kinds of things. Is that correct, Mr. Parkinson? Okay. So the purpose here tonight is to change the zoning. If that's approved by the council, then he will come back with his plans for the final, what he's finally going to do.
Correct. And last time I was here, the council did approve to do 24 units.
Well, the commission did, not the
Commission,
council.
yeah.
We're the
me,
commission.
the commission.
Thank you for the upgrade, but we're the commission, okay?
Thank you. I've been a little sick all week, so I'm kind of under the weather.
Well,
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Then I will entertain a motion on item number 3, the request to change the zoning map from R18 to R16.
I make a motion that we amend the zoning map from R18, single-family residential, to R16, single-family residential.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Then we need to take a roll call, right?
Right. Commissioner Cowley,
Aye.
Commissioner Spar,
Aye.
Mr. Collins,
Aye.
Mr. Karras,
Aye.
Chair Brand,
Aye.
Commissioner Payne,
Aye.
Commissioner Bills.
Aye.
Vote passes 7-0. This item will be on the city council meeting, the first one in June. My calendar's over there, so, is that June 5th or something?
Something
Yes.
like that. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4, a site plan approval for an outdoor display, quote, parking lot sales and a food truck locations for the property located at approximately 4150 South, 1900 West.
Is the proponent here?
And you've heard the litany. State your name and your address, sir.
My name's Robert Taylor. I'm with Anderson Law and Engineering at 2010 North Redwood Road in Salt Lake City, working with America First Credit Union. And as you all know, they've expanded their Roy campus over there where the old Omega buildings were to the south. And as you all know, America First has a seasonal auto sales over in Riverdale area. But with this new campus that they built there, they would like to have seasonal sales at this location and also provide a food truck for the employees at lunch to be able to come onto the site. Any questions? Pretty basic.
So how often would this occur? Is it a monthly activity, or the food truck's probably every day for the employees, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the outdoor sales?
The outdoor sales happens, as I understand, a couple of times a year at
Okay.
the most. But working with Steve, we just said we want to get a site plan in so that we don't have to keep coming back for the same thing all the time. It'll basically pretty generic,
Okay.
so that when it happens, and
How many vehicles typically show up to these on average that they need to sell?
can I ask my,
Go ahead and come up, please, sir.
We record every word here if you're close enough to the mic.
Thank you. Mark Olson, America First, effectively 4646 South, 1500 West in Riverdale. We typically collaborate with Hertz on auto sales. There'll be approximately 200 to 300 vehicles at each sale. It generates an income of a couple $1 million a sale. It's surprisingly not as active as you might think, but it's kind of a steady, slow flow. America First has roughly 800,000 members in Utah, and we provide this as a service to them. It's attended quite well. We've opted to move this to Roy. 1900 West is a better venue. Hertz is much more interested in having the event in Roy than they are in Riverdale. We're kind of tucked back in there over in Poseyville. It's a tight spot. It's not easy to get to. It's not convenient for our members to access. We have a variety of members that will show up from the very young to the very old, and it's just not conducive to supporting that type of operation. So what we're trying to do is provide this frontage out here on 1900 West. Even with the full-blown event, we won't be taking just a fraction of that parking at any given event. I'd say 2/3 of the lot will be completely available for parking. With the upgrade we've had on the park facility, we do have a cross-access agreement, so even if we have a Friday, Saturday event, more than half the parking lot, over 300, probably 350 stalls in the backside, will be available for community events, and there shouldn't be an access problem out there. Does that answer the questions?
Thank you. Yes.
Anybody else got a question? Okay. I'm glad you feed your people every day. Nice to know. Okay. Oh, I do have a question, quickly. How long will these sales go on? You say there'll be a couple of times a year maybe, but how?
Typically, they're in April and perhaps August. They run about 3 days. It takes
3 or 4 days?
It takes a day to bring the 200 to 300 vehicles
Okay.
in from the various Hertz lots around Riverdale and Clearfield and Roy. And then we basically will have the event typically a Thursday, Friday, and it'll wrap up on a Saturday. So it's just 3 days in
Couple of times a year.
April and 3 days typically in August.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen? I'm sorry, Steve.
You're fine. When someone says Stephen, I know I'm in trouble. Again, this is just at the America First campus here in Roy, southwest corner, 4,000 South and 1900 West. As everybody knows, they had purchased part of North Park, made it into a parking lot for their facility. These type of things, parking lot sales and food trucks, can also be done via temporary use permits. But we thought it would be easier, instead of each one having to now go to America First, get an approved site plan, come back. Also, now I have an approved site plan on hand. Just someone comes in and says, well, I want to do Hertz car sales, has their signature, and that's all I need. They're done and approved, rather than have to go through it, make sure where you're going to be, how's the circulation, how's this, how's that. Same with the food trucks. We allow them in the CC, in this case BP zone. It's just, where are they going to be? Have to look at circulation. So by providing a site plan like this, as long as the food truck is always where it's supposed to be, we have no issues. Food truck just comes in, gets its license, and then off and they're running. So I felt it was easier to just do it this way, even though it was a bigger meeting for them, but they don't have to keep reproducing this site plan. They can just say it's the one on hand, and I just sign away and say approved.
So that's what you reference here, where you say recommend is the staff site plan, is what you're talking about then?
Oh, did I leave that on?
Yeah. Down in the recommendation?
Yeah, it should have been. Just recommend approval of the site plan as you see it.
Okay.
And again, they have two different locations for sales, the northwest, and if things are going on, then they'll do it at the southeast. Same with the food trucks. Typically, they're going to be on the north side of the south building, but if that sale is going on, then they're going to move the food truck to the south of the south building. So they just identified several places. So just
Now,
to
would
keep
those
it-
food trucks be available for events at the park, say Roy Days or
Well,
football
these ones are
games?
just for America First during lunchtime.
Be their employees, yeah.
They won't be there all day long, all night long.
Would they have the ability to choose to
Well,
be there
if
if
it's Roy
there's an
Days and
event?
stuff like that, it falls under a different permit.
Different permit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this allows them to have food trucks Monday through Friday or Saturday, whenever they work, to, feed people during the lunchtime.
And both of these are permitted uses under the current zoning, correct? Okay. Motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we recommend approval. Or let's see, no, we're going to approve it. Let's see, I'm going to recommend that we approve the site plan for the outdoor sales and food trucks for America First Credit Union located approximately 4059 South, 1900 West, with the conditions as outlined within the report.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay.
That brings a point, then, there's food trucks on 5600 down in front of the emergency facilities. Is that permitted, or they?
Yeah, they apply for a temporary use or a seasonal use permit every year.
Okay.
They could have done this here as well, but the food trucks, each one would have to bring in a new site plan. Now this food truck just comes, hey, we're going to be at America First, and we have that on hand. Where every year they have to scrounge up the new site plan and provide it.
Okay. We'll move on to item number 5.
I'd recommend we just kind of skip through.
Let's
Can I
skip
do
through
my
that.
recommendation, though?
Because we're due to go to the
Can I do my?
Go for it.
Okay, I'd like to recommend that we, the planning commission, that we remove car washes from the ordinance, the land
Okay.
use.
I will bring that to the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, any staff update? You've already done it?
No?
Okay, I accept a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
We're heading downstairs to be with the city council.
Yep, now we're going downstairs for a joint meeting with the city council, so there we are.
everything's here and come